I think let's welcome Santosh, and I'm looking forward to hear his story.
Yeah, exactly. Santosh, the stage is yours.
Hi, thank you. I'm sure this is not the first time I'm performing on a virtual stage, or I would say on a stage. So thanks, TTMS for giving me this opportunity. Most importantly, this is the first time I'm getting to see so many people. Though from work-wise, I do get a chance to meet my team. That's the team working from Malaysia. Yet this is the first time I'm getting to see so many people from TTMS side. So that's a good thing. And as you can see, I've joined in January. So this year, January was my joining in TTMS. So it's been close to more than 6 months that I've been associated with TTMS. It's a really good working team, I would say, because we do have a lot of people who are working directly or indirectly with me. So that's one that's one good thing I feel about the team. So it's very flexible. The team is very cooperative, and this kind of interaction is the first time I'm having, specifically on something that's very informal, where we are talking about our hobbies and passion and all that. So that's something I'm talking about it for the first time. So again, introducing about myself. So I'm Santosh Raghavan. My full name is a little long. It's like Santosh Kumar Vijay Raghavan, but I prefer being called Santosh because that's my first name. So I work as a project manager, and I take care of the projects in Roche, but specifically the epics, which is in progress right now across all the countries. I'm sure a lot of people are associated with different squads, that's different regions, and I am working for the APAC region. So that's why most of the team members from Malaysia work along with me. And beyond that, I've moved to Malaysia. So basically, I'm born in India. Born and brought up in India. I've been in India for close to 30 years or less than that. And then I moved to Malaysia like 5 years ago. I would still call Malaysia my second home, because 5 years is a long time for staying here and trying to understand the culture and trying to get along with a lot of people. I've made a lot of friends after moving here. So this feels like my second home again, as I mentioned. So with kind of the culture over here, as I mentioned, that climate is very important because it's very close to India. One thing that's missing is we have winter season. That's not possible in Malaysia because we are at the equator, so it's always summer and rain in the evening, of course. So that's about that's a very quick introduction about me, and so without wasting much time, I can move on to the agenda. So from agenda perspective, what we are talking about is share your passion. I'm sure passion is something that's not limited to just one factor. A lot of people have their affinity towards a lot of things. Like, for example, some people are passionate about painting, some people are passionate about singing, dance, and I've also met some people who are passionate about their work. That doesn't mean I am not passionate, but yeah, I love my job. At the same time, there are a lot of people who are very passionate. They want to grow and they give their best towards the work that they're doing. So at the same time, it's also important to have hobbies along with work. So in my case, because violin was something that doesn't just come from me, it's come from a generation of people. So I could still move to the next slide. Give me a minute. Okay. All right. So yeah, my journey as a violinist. So as I mentioned, it's been 2 generations since we've been playing violin. So it started with my grandfather. My grandfather plays very good violin. He's actually also my teacher. He's taught me how to hold the violin, how to play it, and also we have a unique form of music that at least I was trained on. So it's called the classical. So if you look at all the instruments, irrespective of whether it is a violin or any stringed instrument, okay, it's classified into 2 types. One is the classical, and the other one is the Western music. So again, Western music is what we get to hear mostly from the English songs that starts with do re mi fa so, and also from classical side, in India we call it as Carnatic music, which is again similar to Western, but it's more on the classical side. So that's how I was trained. I was trained when I was in seventh grade. So I started learning from the time I was in seventh grade. It went on all the way until ninth grade, and beyond that we had our academics, because this is how it happens in India, irrespective of whatever your passion is, be it you're a sports person or a music person or a painter, whatever be your hobby or whatever you're very good at. It's important for you to make sure it goes on par with your academics, so the academics is not disturbed. And I was an average student, so in my case I always used to give more importance to music and less importance to the studies at that point of time. Then my parents were putting pressure that I need to focus on studies because that is important. So that's where I had to take a break from violin. So I couldn't manage time back then. I was too young. It was seventh grade, and it was difficult for me to take out time for music and studies and sports, because I was also I mean, we have this very interesting game called cricket. So that's very famous all over India and also around the world. But some of the regions, they wouldn't know, specifically the US, they wouldn't know what is cricket. But yeah, cricket is something that I used to play back in school. So I wanted to make sure I give importance only to these two, that is studies as well as cricket, which is where I lost track of violin for some time. And then it took me a very long time to pick up, I would say, because I started learning violin after from the year 2009. Yep. So in the year 2009, I had a job because I started working. I had a job. I thought, okay, this is the time where I'm settled and I could focus something on something which I was always interested on, or with something I always wanted to excel. So that's when I started learning violin. Though I was a little old enough to start from the beginning, but at least I had the practice because I used to because I learned when I was in seventh grade, and I could always remember how it's supposed to be played. So it was just about picking up from a little more than an intermediate level, or I would say at an intermediate level. Let me put it that way. So I started off from intermediate level from 2010, and then my teacher was not my grandfather this time, because my grandfather had moved to a different city, and I was working in a different city. So I had to choose somebody local who could train me. So I had classes during my weekends, because Monday to Friday I used to work, and Saturday, Sunday I used to spend time learning violin from my teacher. So we call them as a guru. So my guru used to train me on classical. Again, I've never probably I started playing Western only very recently, like 5-6 years ago. But before that, I was always into classical violin. So as I started playing and as I started developing more interest from 2009, as I mentioned, my exposure towards this music and violin was very prominent at that time, because I was working in corporate companies. So a lot of the team members and the bosses I used to work for, they were interested in me performing during the corporate events. So I used to perform a lot in the office corporate events. I could just take you to the next slide. So this is the one. As you can see, the person who's standing next to me is from Japan. So this was a concert I performed while in Japan. So I had gone to Japan for a project go live, and my boss over there in Japan, he asked me to bring my violin along. He said we are planning to host a go live event, and it's important for me to even perform during that event. So these pictures, what you see, are something that I had performed in Japan, and that's my boss handing me a voucher for the performance. So this is how I used to perform in a lot of corporate events. This is one from India. Sorry, this is one from Japan, but there are few from India. There are few corporate events that I did in India, and I don't have those photos, unfortunately, right now, because I left all of them in India itself. But then, yes, I'm looking forward to create or give more performances and create more memories. That I can take it forward. That's one thing. And not too sure how I can play this link. Let me just click on it. I hope it's audible. and not too loud.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, so this is again an English song. I'm again, as I mentioned, I'm a classical kind of person, so not so good in Western, but I'll try my best to play one of those English songs that I've learned. Okay. Okay, so I just wanted to prove that I know how to play violin because it's just not about a session, but yeah, I just wanted to show this. And I do have a couple of YouTube videos, not too many, as I mentioned. I'm not a social media kind of a person, but yeah, I do have a couple of them. At the same time, in India, I did give a lot of performances. So these performances were again recorded. So I do have a lot of recordings in India from those events that I had attended. That's one good. That's one thing. And yeah, so I did have and right now I'm kind of giving trainings and teaching violin to a lot of students. This is something that I was never interested in before because considering the day job that I have and also other things, other responsibilities that I handle, I was kind of not inclined towards teaching. But it so happened that one of my relatives, they were requesting me to give training to their kids who were still in school. So they're small kids who are still studying school. And if you can still see my screen, can you still see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. So this is one of those captures, I would say, from the online classes. So I started teaching kids from 2017 onwards. So from 2017, there were two different classes that I used to conduct. So there were online classes, and then there were students who used to come home and learn from me. I used to take these classes during weekends again because Monday to Friday, I'm caught up with so much work, and few Saturdays and Sundays, I could easily take out like 2 to 3 hours training the kids. So it so happened that I used to take online classes as well as the physical, the classes where I'm physically present and teaching the kids. And online also has its own challenges, but now with the current pandemic situation, all my students are attending online. And one good thing that happened because of the pandemic is earlier we used to have classes only for 1 hour or rather 2 hours in every week. That's again during the weekends. But now I've converted them into daily classes, which means all the students, or rather whoever wants to join these violin classes, they would be joining classes early in the morning at 5:30 a.m., which is when I also wake up. So I wake up at 5:30 a.m. I join this online class and I train the kids. So these are the kids. This is just a set of 7 to 8 kids who are there in this photograph. But ideally, there are a lot of kids who join in two batches. So what I did was I have another friend here in Malaysia. So this person is born and brought up in Malaysia. He's also a very good violinist. So both of us conduct these classes for kids, and we train them, and we try to help them as much as we can, promoting this music because not all the trainers that I know of, at least right now in this situation, are able to take classes, because most of them do take physical classes. They don't really encourage online because there are challenges to it. There are challenges like the internet connectivity, and most importantly, let me show you this violin. Okay, in this, if you look at this violin, it looks very simple. Okay, and people might think it's very heavy or something. No, it's not. It's not heavy at all. It's a very light instrument that I could probably lift with 2 fingers. That's how light it is, and all of these, there's a difference. I mean, though this is a stringed instrument, all the stringed instruments have different types, how they are made and how the music is generated. So if you look at this, there are no frets, as opposed to, I don't know how many people on the call know about guitar, but guitar has those fretboards. Okay, you have those indicators that will let you know that if you put your finger on that particular fret, automatically the music will generate for that particular note. That's how it's kind of set up in all the guitars. But in violin, you don't have it. It's just smooth playing. You can see some scratches here and there. That's because of my finger movements. And this is a very old violin. This I bought it in 2009. Yeah, 2009 is when I bought this violin. So this is close to 11 years old, 12 years old. And most importantly, it's the tuning of violin is not so easy. It's very difficult because there are two different places you have to tune. There's one place over here to tune, and there is another one which are the fine tuners, where we have to tune it. And for beginners, it gets very difficult because I have to keep listening to them to understand which note they are playing, and if there is any note that needs to be fine tuned to adjust to the music that we are going to perform. It gets very difficult. So I have to ask them to come, at least specifically those ones who are in Malaysia. I would ask them to come home so that I can tune the violin, and then they can continue playing. So this daily practice is something that's very important. It's not just for violin or any instrument, but for that matter, anything. Even if you are into fitness, if you don't go to a gym for 2 days, you automatically start feeling weak. You feel that, okay, you've lost all the muscles that you've gained while going to the gym. So similar thing with violin also. It's important for all of us to whoever is learning this instrument to practice every day. And that's when it struck my mind that it's if I do it for myself, I might skip. I might feel, okay, this is not the time, I'm busy with something else. I might not be able to give some time for playing violin. So that's the reason I ask my students also to be joining these classes, so that I motivate them, and then they motivate me because their parents are pushing them to wake up in the morning and then attend these classes. So there's always a back and forth motivational aspect that happens between me and my students, and that's what keeps us going. And we've covered around 120 classes so far since the time the pandemic started. And when I say 120, I'm talking about 120 online classes. All of them were successful. Hardly one or two classes where we had network issues and we couldn't make it. But at least the in terms of the consistency, yes, we did spend a lot of time in trying to practice on a daily basis to get to the point where we can even give virtual concerts. All my students are trained enough to give virtual concerts, and and again, yes, there's also a personal touch to it. We kind of interact with the parents, and we have regular catch up with their parents to understand how they are faring with their academics as well as with music. Because most important thing is, in my case, again, I gave you an example right in the beginning where I couldn't manage. The time management was difficult for me, handling studies, sports, and music. So that was something I always have in my mind, that whoever is passionate about music, if they are even concerned about their academics, there should be a balance. So there should be a balance that's created between them so that they can excel in both, that is studies as well as the passion that they are interested in. So that's the reason whoever is interested in violin, I make sure they give their time, at least 1 hour for practice, and the practice happens while we are on the online session. And beyond that, I tell them not to touch the violin at all. They don't need to even touch it for the whole day. If they want to practice, they can, unless they have time. But at least I encourage them to practice only once a day so that they get time to do other things like studies or homeworks, or for that matter, anything else that they want to do in life. So this is what I've been doing for close to 3-4 years now, at least specifically on the large scale, because I started off with a few of my relatives who are kids, and they were getting trained, and then they started bringing in their friends, and then the kind of population started increasing as and when people started gaining interest in this. So this is what I mean. This is my journey towards violin, and I really thank all those people who've been helping me out in terms of learning the violin. And violin is one such instrument for which you need to have a teacher for sure, because guitar you can actually watch the YouTube videos, and it's okay to get to the level of intermediate level, at least learning through the YouTube videos. But for violin, it's very important to have a teacher. So whoever has trained me all this while, it's all because of them that I'm able to play this violin, and also teach the students who are attending my classes. So again, this is not, as I mentioned in the beginning, it's not just about picking up a hobby that's violin, but there are many things that you can be passionate about, which you can pick up as a hobby, and you can even convert that into a professional aspect. Because I remember a few of my students when I was a student, a few of my friends were interested in violin to a point where now they've become maestros. They play in big events, and they also play for again, because I come from India, Bollywood is something that's the most happening thing. We have a lot of movies, and each and every movie will have songs for sure. It's not like the Western movies where the background music and the song is included towards them. So all of our movies have close to 7 to 8 songs for sure within the movie itself, and all of these require music. So a lot of sound engineering and music goes into making all of these. And few of my friends are included or do perform in those movies as musicians. So yeah, so I would suggest whoever, it's never too late, one thing, because in my case it was too late. I started picking up violin again in the year 2010. So in order to learn the basics of violin, it takes three years. The total of 3 years is what you need to spend in order to get from basic to intermediate level. And beyond that, it's all about practice, because the syllabus is done. Whatever you have to learn, there are certain number of books that you have to complete. As soon as you're done with the syllabus, you're a musician. That's it. But after that, whatever you practice on a daily basis, and the kind of tuning that you do towards your skill that you have is what makes you an advanced level or a maestro in violin. And even though I've been practicing for 10 years, I still feel, as I mentioned, I still call myself an intermediate level, or probably somebody who's trying to touch that advanced level. So not there yet, but yeah, someday I'll be at an advanced level where I perform with great musicians, and rock the stage. So yeah, that's about me. I think I was taught on time. I was given 30 minutes to speak. Now I can open up for questions. So if anyone has any questions, I can answer them for the next 15 minutes. Is that okay, Marlena?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay, so I can stop sharing my screen. If anyone has questions, you can ask. Or if no one has questions, I can ask a question. How did you like the session? Did you find it interesting, or was I boring?
Santosh, Elaine here.
Hey, Elaine. Yes.
Hi, thank you for your great session. I think I do have one question, because when you mentioned you conduct classes at 5:30 a.m.
Mhm.
Do you like receive any feedback from your neighbors that
Ah,
music may
yeah.
because
What
Malaysians, they all sleep late.
I understand. In fact, I was the kind of a person who used to sleep at 2:30, 3:30 a.m. That was my sleeping schedule once upon a time. But then, yeah, at some point of time, I realized, okay, there are a lot of things that you can do it in the morning than the evening, because when it comes to evening and when it comes to night, most of the people are already tired,
Yeah.
and you'll not have enough energy to do it. So that's the reason, the ones that I'm really passionate about, I keep it to the morning. If I have to go to the gym, I'll keep it to the morning itself. I don't keep it to end of the day. But yeah, to answer your question about how neighbors have not complained so far, uh, I had to move from one apartment to another one just because of this reason, because the
okay.
neighbors were getting annoyed. And now I have this acoustic instrument I play. But before that, I used to have this heavy electric violin, and that used to make a lot of noise. But thanks to technology, now we have something called a silent violin. So what I have to do is I just need to connect my headphones to the electric violin, and it's only me who can listen to it. Even the people in my house can't hear me playing. So yeah,
Okay.
all my practice, it goes into the electric violin that I was talking about. And of course, for while training students, I kind of encourage them to play more. I ask the kids to play for me, and it's not too loud. As you heard me playing the violin just now, right? It's not too loud. It's to a level where people can tolerate. If it was guitar and if I was playing that heavy metal stuff,
Yeah.
then yeah, I'm sure the neighbors are going to ask me to vacate the house. Yeah.
I see. Yeah. And then I have another one is does the violin have a standard size, or do they have like for younger kids then they have a smaller violin? Then as they grow older, maybe it grows by maybe just by 1 or 2 inch longer.
Right. There are various sizes in violin. Again, just to give you an idea, there are three different types of instruments within this violin stringed instrument itself. Because the stringed instruments itself is huge. There are so many stringed instruments, and within the violin kind of instruments, we have violin,
Mhm.
viola, and cello. The cello is the big one. That's this big, and
Uh,
you play it like this. Okay,
mhm.
that's cello. And there's a viola. Viola is again a little bigger than this violin. So if you see this, it's like
Mhm.
3 to 4 inches bigger than this. And
Four
and
inches. That means viola is for adults, is it? And
really, so it's on the bass and the sound. Okay, so this
oh,
one is very high pitch. What I'm holding right now is violin, which is very high
mhm.
pitch, and
Okay.
then comes the viola, which is a little lower on a lower pitch than this one, than the violin. And
Mm.
cello is the lowest pitch. Okay, when you play that, it has got that very dark kind of music that you can play on the
Oh,
cello. Yeah, so it
okay.
depends on how the music is generated from the instruments. That's how you categorize them. It's not based on the size, but yes, in terms of the size, it is customizable, because nowadays a lot of kids are. I mean, if you look at this size, I don't think so. A kid who is around
Yeah.
7, 8 year old can hold it. So for that, there are customized instruments, so you can customize the size of it to suit.
Okay.
And yeah, that's how some kids, at least of all the kids that I've trained, there was
Mhm.
only one prodigy kid who was interested to play violin from the age of 7. So that was something even I was surprised, because at 7, I don't think so. I would have even thought about playing violin.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Santosh, for your sharing.
yep, no worries. Hey, any other questions?
I would like to ask you if you can share your links to your social media via chat, where we can play your
Yep,
music.
yep. So I could
You can
share
do
the
it now or
video.
later.
Yeah, I can do it right now. I can share it. And it's just not. I don't have too many videos where I did performances for hours together. These are just 1 minute, tidbits, kind of something that you can watch for a minute and close it. Okay. So yeah, again, I need to start uploading a lot, because previously I'm used to performing at events, like where I physically go to an event and then perform there, and they take my video and I just show it to my people. This in the event today. But now that there's a lot of interest growing in social media, where people are updating a lot of things in social media. They're coming up with creative videos. They're coming up with videos where they go to some exotic locations and then they play, that they record. There's a lot of sound engineering that goes into in the background. So something that I'll be looking forward to later point. I need to find a good studio where I can record all of these. When I say studio, I'm talking about a music studio where I can record all of these and then add some special effects in the videos and start posting them on social media. That's something I'm looking at long term, but let's see.
I have one question, Santosh. When you go for this corporate events performance, do you have to go for audition or they through contacts?
It's there's no audition. Even when I perform, it's not like a competition that I do it. It's just for entertainment. I tell them I'm not interested in a competition, because the way you play in a competition is different. You have to be focused on on everything that you do it. But if you're just performing for an event, you're celebrating. You're just in a mindset where you're open and you're enjoying that moment where you're entertaining people and you're entertaining yourself. So I prefer uh, performing at an event as a person who's interested in music and making other people enjoy the music than as a competition. So it's never been a competition, but yes, this whatever the image that you saw where my boss presented me a voucher, that was not because of a competition. That was just a goodwill for performing in Japan. Because what I understood is in Malaysia and Japan, people are very fond of music. They love people who play instruments and who are good at music. So this is what I've noticed, at least the performances that I gave in Malaysia and Japan. This is the kind of feedback I received from people. So as a goodwill, yes, I got this voucher.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think I have 7 more minutes. I'm in fact looking forward for others from my team to come forward to let me know if anyone is interested in music or if somebody already plays music, because we could do a fusion. I've had one friend over here who moved to Australia before. So that friend and me, we both used to jam together. So we used to sit. That guy used to play the guitar, and I used to play the violin. We used to sit for hours together, and um, and and we used to jam and perform and all that. But later that guy moved, and it's all online again. I'm in fact also I can just point the camera there. Okay, so I just picked this up. It's a keyboard or a Casio keyboard that I picked up recently. So I'm planning to learn that. If I get time, probably I'll start learning that, and looking forward to get to a decent level wherein if I decide to perform at a later point of time, when I say perform something like this, share your passion event, I would prefer doing it on the keyboard.
Hi, Santosh.
Yes.
This quick question: have you do something like busking for this playing violins at the street?
No, I didn't try that yet. I mean, I'm not brave enough to do that. Yeah, but I admire all those people because I keep walking around places, so I see a lot of musicians. So there's this place called Brickfields in Malaysia. So it's a place where you have a lot of shopping and everything. So I keep seeing musicians who would just stand on the road and start performing. And it's really a good thing to stand there and watch them do it, because they don't care about who is watching them. They just stand there and start playing, and all we have to do is admire their courage and also the performance that they're giving. So I mean, I never tried that personally because I didn't get the courage to do it. But yeah, probably someday when I develop enough courage, I'll do it.
Okay, last question for me. Sorry.
Yep.
I saw a few violinists such as like Vanessa May, recently in Malaysia like Daniel Akmal. Most of them are not singing. Is it difficult when you play violin and you sing at the same time? Because I haven't seen others before.
Yep,
Maybe
yep.
maybe God, but
That's
I
a
do not know.
That's a very good question. I would say, because what happens is, okay, there are two ways to hold a violin. Okay, one is the classical way where I'll just tilt it a bit. So this is how you hold it. So I rest my violin on my heel, Okay, I can't show my heel because it's somewhere down below. So I rest the violin on my heel and then I play like this. Okay, so this is one way to play it, which I just played. And the Western way of playing is like this, where you're holding it with your chin and your shoulder. So it's between your chin and your shoulder, and then you play it like this. So while you're playing like this, you cannot see. Even when I was playing, I couldn't talk. So you can either talk or you play. So that's the disadvantage. If it was as easy as holding a guitar and sing, it's not a problem. But for violin, there are only two positions that you can hold this instrument, and both of it are connected to your this part, the neck and the chin. So if that is the case, I don't think so. You can do proper justice to singing. Which is why, again, the one thing is all of these violin instruments are high pitch instruments, so it is equal to your voice. It's as good as singing with your voice. And there are musicians that I know of who play violin as if they're singing. You cannot differentiate whether they are singing or whether they're playing it in the violin, because it gets so rhythmic and melodious that it gets difficult for you to differentiate. But yes, in my case, if you ask me, I've seen very less number of violinists who can sing. So because they're focused only on playing violin, they totally forget about singing. So very less number of people sing.
Thank you, Santosh.
Mhm. Okay, 3 minutes. Okay, so if there are no questions, then thanks for giving me this opportunity. I hope it was interesting. At least from my perspective, this is the first time I'm looking at all you people, and I'm not too sure how many of you liked it, and if there's anything that can be done to improve, we can always share a feedback, so that whoever is going to give this presentation afterwards can take those feedback and make it better.
Santosh, many thanks to you for this speech. It was very interesting, and when you were playing the violin, oh, it's really good. Even on Teams, we heard it very, very well. So I'm very interested in these videos on social media. And unfortunately, I know that I wouldn't be able to join your online classes because they're definitely too early for me. It's impossible to wake up so early.
Yep, agreed. 5:30 a.m. Malaysia time or somewhere around 12 a.m. your time. So it's not a morning, it's somewhere in the night.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so I hope that all of you have fun, and thank you for joining this meeting. And one more time, I would like to invite you for the next meeting, Share Your Culture, and it will be next month, September 3rd, and it will be about Polish and Malaysian culture, food, holidays, and some interesting traditions, so please be welcome. And at the end, we have some gifts for Santosh. So, Shervin, I give you the voice.
Yeah, thanks, Santosh, for your time. We understand that you're actually very busy, but you take some time to prepare all this presentation. After this meeting, we would send you a gift voucher, 100 ringgit Grab food. We hope that you can enjoy with your family during this weekend. So just check your email after this. It's just a small token of our appreciation for your participation.
No worries, no worries. Thank you. I think there's nothing small. It's always a great thing to receive appreciation.
Yes, your session is very inspiring, on your interests. So hopefully in the future, if once MCO is over, we can gather and you can teach some of us on how to play in the office.
Sure. Looking forward to it. Yep.